Everybody, it's me, Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 Hertz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant-based diet going for yourselves today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level, and to get with alkalinity, then you can generate some static electricity. Send me some love telepathically, set attention to your mind, and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So this evening I'm going to talk on meditativeness, right? So let's get into this. Meditativeness is a state of being, right? This is not something that you can actually practice, even though when meditating you're going to be told that you're practicing. It's a practice, it's a practitioner, but meditation isn't actually a practitioner. There's no practitioner, there's no practicing. It's more something that just happens, right? Because meditation or meditativeness is a state of being. So very, very simply, you can actually practice meditation. Of course, you can sit yourself down, you can take up meditation, and you can do what we call practicing meditation. But deeper into meditative states, it's not practitioner, it's more so just a state of being that happens naturally of itself, because you don't necessarily need to go through any type of meditation session to be able to come into a state of meditativeness. Meditation is something that just happens, it blossoms naturally. Everything in nature has a stasis or a state of meditation, meditativeness. If you go into nature and you observe the animals in their natural flow, they're very, very meditative. Plants are very meditative, because you can surround yourself with plants and they can put you in a meditative state, right? This is the electromagnetic field that they're resonating within, or the certain resonating benefactor of the electromagnetic field that comes with surrounding yourself with specific plants which are which are on a certain frequency. When you start to resonate on the same frequency or on the same level or the vibratory rate of those plants that you surround yourself with, you find that your vibration starts to change because you're surrounding yourself with a certain type of plant, right? When you smoke weed, you get meditative, right? When you do mushrooms, you get meditative, because they're all vibrating on a certain frequency, which allows you to come into a more meditative state of being. So it's less practice of meditation. It's more something that just happens of itself, right? You can surround yourself with certain people who are meditative, and you can instantly become meditative yourself. So there's less practice to it. It's more something that just begins to happen, right? Like everything has its rhythms. Everything has a rhythm. Everything is blossoming. At nighttime, flowers, they close. When the sun rises, the flowers start to blossom. So there's a rhythm to everything. Everything has its rhythm. You do the exact same thing, right? When it's nighttime, you introvert more so. And when it's daytime, you go into more objectivism to get things done, because there's more of a dynamic energy because of the solar energy. The moon's energy is more feminine and it's more introverted. And this is allowing us to look deeper within ourselves, especially at the peaks of the night where the yin energy is the most deepest, right? So there's rhythm to everything. And because of this, once you start to sink yourself into that rhythm, meditation or meditativeness as a state of being arises deeply within you. And meditation is literally the art of being aware, right? Being conscious through everything, even if it be sleep, right? If you are really meditative, you're going to be completely conscious throughout your entire sleep cycle. So once you become meditative enough, or once it actually is becoming meditativeness, you're no longer sleeping. You're going to be aware throughout your entire dream or throughout your entire sleep cycle, right? So this means that sleep is no longer sleep because you're not actually sleeping. You're conscious through your sleep. But you're sleeping, your body is sit and it's rest, and it's able to fall into that deep mode of rest, but you're completely conscious of it, right? So it's only that happens once meditation is arisen deeply within you, right? Until you get there, until you're in meditation 24/7, then you remain unaware and you kind of fall into various different swingings of the rhythm where you're conscious, then you're unaware. But the whole thing of meditation is that you remain conscious 24/7, and it becomes like the sun. The sun never actually the sun is always there. The light, the consciousness is always there. The only reason we experience nighttime or darkness is because the sun is on the opposite side of the earth. So the shadow is cast, right? But the sun is always there. The light is always there. And you can make it to where you're always aware. You're always conscious, right? But even so, you have to fix yourself in a certain, you have to come into a certain state of realization to be able to be meditative 24/7, right? But this is why you would want to practice until it is 24/7 meditation. It no longer is a practice, though. It's not something you practice because it's something that just happens. And that's evolution, that's revolution, right? When it starts, evolution is development. You're growing into higher and higher levels of life. If you look at anything in nature that is on the evolutionary path, it's taking a spiraling development upwards. It's progressing as a species. Being conscious 24/7 is within the evolutionary development of our species. And that's also allowing us to expand awareness, right? And expansion of awareness and the whole journey of self-realization is what all species are growing into. Everything is growing towards self-realization, right? So you go into an unrealized state to a realized state. All the deified beings are realized beings because they are known for their whole journey of going from unrealized to realized. And then obviously being within the realized state, the enlightened state, the liberated state, and being able to teach others who are unrealized, unliberated, and darkened within themselves. But you need both because there's a duality to life. But the moment that you are able to be conscious of the rhythm from back and forth of the spectrum, then you're coming into meditativeness. This is something that just happens. You don't practice it. You can't practice meditation because it's something that just happens to you. Even if you're saying that it's practice and you're practicing meditation every day, it's something that just slowly began to happen to you, right? Because this is part of a higher process of expanding awareness that's obviously taking place on the unseen until you're able to generate enough consciousness through the process of becoming more meditative to then be able to make the unseen the seen, which is involved in the process of enlightenment and being able to shed light on what was remaining darkness, right? Or unseen, unconscious. So the unrealized state, you come into the realized state in the process of self-realization, right? enlightenment. Meditativeness is a gift from the ascended masters, right? There's ascended masters. If you don't know, now you know. There's masters who have ascended into higher degrees of life, and they remain unseen because they are of a subtler dimensional octavational frequency, and due to this they can't communicate easily with the people who don't connect with them. So by this I mean they can work through you. Obviously, ascended masters are higher beings, and they can work through you, and they can bend the energy very, very simply on the third dimensional plane, create the energy or create the form here on the third dimensional plane. But you can be completely aware of them, you know. But they can definitely influence your life, but you can be unaware of it, right? But they're there, and you can communicate with them. You can directly connect yourself with each and every one of the ascended masters, if you want to, and you can make a relationship with them conscious if you want to, right? Which you can do this. Very, very simple. So meditation is actually within the process of becoming more meditative. Each and every one of your connections with the ascended masters begins to come into light, and that's within the process of self-realization, because when you come into the realized state, you are then coming into the whole system of higher order that was normally maybe mythology, or maybe even unseen at the very least, only because you were unconscious, right? You may have been born in the flesh and then completely unaware, you know, but slowly you can come into the realized state. You can be born again. You can be reborn as a soul, as a spirit, or you can just be reborn into higher dimensions of life, right? As you come into ego death, which is just destroying the flesh, not in the way that you may conceive, but in a completely different way, which is just a transcendence. You transcend the flesh. And then obviously the transcendence of the flesh, the body as a vessel, as a vehicle, is literally the process of rebirth. So it allows you to have an experience that opens you up to what was unseen, or once again maybe mythology or mythological in the unrealized state. But as you become more realized, it's easy to connect yourself with what was once mythology as actuality, right? So you can connect yourself with the ascended masters, and you probably are already connected with them because they work on this plane through you. But in the unrealized state, you don't actually know that they're working through you. You may only know that they're giving you hints about them, right? Through maybe dreams, maybe experiences, spontaneity, things like this, right? They'll show you that they're working with you or they're working through you. But if you're unrealized, it's very hard to have an actual experience with them, right? Whatever master or whatever God or master you're connecting yourself with. And you don't actually really decide either. It's decided for you because they're the higher dimensional beings. And they decide the form of the lower dimensions. The higher dimensional decides the form of the lower dimensional, right? So the gods really, they really decide for you. You don't actually have a choice. All you can really do is, I mean, you can resist, obviously, but resisting is futile. It's swimming against the flow of the river. You can only do that for so long until you have to let go and flow with the river, right? You can only resist death for so long until you have the realization that death is inevitable. So then you gotta let go. It's the same thing with the gods or the ascended masters. You don't decide, they decide because they've already ascended. You're here because you are in the process of ascension. You're not in the same league as them, but you can definitely work your way up if you have enough devotion or power to do this, or if you use your power for this process, which is evolution, which is what you want to be doing. Everybody is on that already, but it's remaining an unconscious process for a lot of people because it hasn't ignited for them the flame, or they haven't been initiated into that process of self-realization, but they're within it. They're just unaware that initiation is needed, right? So meditativeness allows you to be conscious of all of that, all of the importance. There's a lot of triviality. Triviality is just playing in the unconscious. But even that process is going to allow you to become conscious and self-realized, right? Which is what all beings are here to do, self-realize. See, whenever Brahma comes to awaken, it's universal realization. Each and every one being is coming to a self-realized state, and that's when that's whenever you become God, or that's when Brahma wakes up from the dream state, right? Which is slowly on the way. We are slowly waking up as God or as Brahma, right? But we're all the same being, and we're in a dream state. We're heading towards the omega point, right? So meditativeness, once you start waking up, meditation or meditativeness, something that naturally happens within you. This is just literally being conscious 24/7, being awake 24/7. Buddha, literally a symbol for meditation, meditativeness. His name is translated into the awakened one because he's awoken, he's awake, he's a living presence, right? He's here. So meditativeness is something that just blossoms within you. You don't have to practice it. You can sit, but you can only sit, and you can be in a meditativeness. You can't actually practice meditation. It's not something you practice. It's just something that just happens, right? Being aware. You don't even need necessarily to sit to meditate. You don't need posturing. You don't need anything to meditate, because meditation is something that you can do 24/7, everywhere, in every activity. Everywhere you can do meditation. Walking, you can meditate. Eating, you can meditate. Making music, you can meditate. You can be meditative. Playing video games, you can be meditative. Dressing up for the day, you can be meditative. Showering, you can be meditative. You don't need to sit down, posture, do asana. You don't need sadhana, any of this. Meditation is something that naturally blossoms within you. You can use all the other stuff for accelerating it, which if you're smart, you'll invest in, so that you can get there faster, and so you can accelerate your evolution. but it happens inevitably because it's something that's natural. This is something within the design. The growth factor of humanity is to just become more meditative, which is just conscious 24/7, right? Even if you're sleeping, you're conscious, which slowly is the awakening, right? Because when we awaken, life becomes a dream. This is what collective dream time is. The collective dream time that is slowly rising within us is collectively in a dream state. We are collectively in a dream state. Here now, life is becoming a dream. You know, mystics are going to tell you this, philosophers are going to tell you this, gurus are going to tell you this. Life is a dream because it is a dream. And when this realization arises collectively, then we are then in a collective dream state, and we are no longer going to be sleeping because we are conscious of our state while we are asleep, while we are sleeping, which then it becomes a collectivity. We are collectively dreaming, and this is a growth. We're growing into dimensions that were once unconscious, right, or darkened. And it's just we're growing, you know, into dimensions that are obviously higher. So we're deriving higher and higher levels of life as we move towards the center of the Milky Way. And it's a lucidity. It's a dance of lucidity, because life becomes a dance the more lucid we become in the dream, which lucidity is being in a conscious state within your dream. And this is the dream. So the more conscious you become, the more lucid you become. And the more lucid you become, the more the more life you can derive from within yourself when you're generating, as you generate it. So you can generate life energy within yourself, but you don't necessarily harness the energy from the generation, because you have to it's like there's solar energy, but we don't have the technologies to be able to harness the potency of the solar energy. So we can always renew the technologies or the various different methods to be able to harness the solar energy for more and more potency out of it, right? Let's say we get a certain amount of energy from a solar panel, but then we upgrade the solar panel 10 years later and we get 1,000 times more energy from the sun through the solar panel, right? So we upgraded the technologies, right? And in upgrading the technologies, we were able to derive more energy that is being generated from the sun constantly. So you are a fractal design of the sun, and you're generating energy as well. You're generating tachyonic energy, which is energy that goes beyond the speed of light, and you're generating much more powerful energies beyond that as well. So then you still need ways to harness that energy. So you have to upgrade yourself. If you begin meditation, or if you start becoming more meditative, you start upgrading yourself on esoteric levels, which upgrading yourself on the esoteric way or level is going to allow you to derive or harness more and more energy from your own generation, right? It's very simple. This is the more life that you are able to harness from your own generation of energy, the more bliss that you're going to be able to touch upon, because life is bliss. Life is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is bliss. And consciousness is bliss. Consciousness is literally unconditional love, right? The more life you have, the more light you have. The more light you have, the more consciousness there is being generated. And you can harness that consciousness. And the more consciousness you have, the more bliss there is. If you're conscious 24/7, you don't know any misery, because misery is of a poverty. Misery is literally poverty. There's no misery in consciousness, because consciousness is everlasting. It's eternal. It's infinite, right? And consciousness is life. So finding the root to meditativeness, I guess, is just allowing it to rise in you. But there's things that you can do to accelerate meditativeness within you. This is why people like to smoke. This is why people like to smoke weed, because it allows them to be more meditative, right? It opens them up vibrationally. This is why people like to do yoga. This is why people like to practice meditation, because it allows them to come into the wavelength of being meditative. This is why people like to do anything that is allowing them to be meditative, because it's allowing them to fasten the process of growing meditative within yourself. But it happens naturally, because it's within the growth of us to just be meditative, right? But it's most definitely the most important thing, meditation, because without it, there's poverty. Doing anything, the whole purpose is to come into the meditative state, the flow state. If you're a fighter, you fight to derive that meditative state, which allows you to feel the great bliss of it, the great joy. If you make music, you're doing it to tap into that flow state or that meditative state, which is then what allows you to blossom the joy out of it or the bliss out of it. Anything you're doing, it's towards the meditation within that exercising. Whatever it is you're doing, it's towards meditation. If you're playing video games, it's to hit a meditative state. And within the meditative state is then when the joy blossoms. Right? So everything is we're all looking towards the flow state or the meditative state, because that's where we're able to expand our consciousness into the unknown, into deeper states of being. And growing into deeper states of being is the investment, canonically, collectively. Anything else is just is trivial or unessential to our growth as a species, right? Even if you're a professional eater or whatever it may be, it's meditation. You're looking towards meditation. And that's the truth of it. So meditating is very important, but don't feel like you have to do anything for growing meditation within you, because it's just something that happens, right? You can't practice this. It's something that happens of itself. People who don't even practice any type of meditative meditation can be more meditative than somebody who is not practicing, or who is practicing, my bad. Somebody can be just naturally meditative in their nature, right? So you want to go and hang around them because they're meditative, right? And they put you in a flow state. Like cats are very meditative in their nature. They're always meditating. This is why surround yourself with cats, and you can pick up that meditativeness off of them. Right, but every animal has its own rhythm to it. Every animal is in a meditation in itself. Uh, but meditation is literally the art of dying. You can go beyond death through meditation, and that's exactly what the rebirth process is. After having the transcendent experience, you're able to perceive that is beyond the flesh, beyond your own death, and that's meditation as well. Meditation is the that very process, right? So that's gonna be it for today's video. I do thank everybody for watching. Once again, peace out, one love, have a great evening.